Welcome back to the desk. And that fight was really, it looked like it was over, and then it wasn't for long enough to get us to reverse tie-dye. So let's talk about the ships that tried to keep us there, or keep us in the game as long as possible. Rose, tell me a little bit about how the Logi was doing work in this match.
I just want to shout out the Osprey. Um, to keep yourself in range at the very edge of your range and be able to get those reps in and keep people alive as long as they did. Absolute baller work on behalf of Logi. Um, with shield reps and armor reps, you have a range. You have a maximum range where you get 100% reps. Outside of that range, you get a 50% rep that lands. So managing to kind of stay in between that sweet spot and keep the people up as long as they could was absolutely fantastic work. And that Logi was that was probably some of the longest living Logi that we've seen in a hot minute. So hats off to the Osprey. That was beautiful.
Yeah, and even smaller than the Logi pilots, and perhaps going a little unnoticed, Ren. Talk to me a bit about the work the Jaguar was doing in this match.
El Punchy in the Jaguar is he put in some work for his team. Uh, on we talked about it a little bit behind the scenes, but we argue that it might have been too late. But the moment the Jaguar managed to get its webs on the Thalia, the Macarial's big autocannons suddenly meant it went poof in a heartbeat, and that was a little too late, maybe? Question mark. It might have turned the battle if they went for the logistic frigates a little bit earlier. Um, but the El Punchy doing work there for his team. They ultimately lost, but he after the Thalia, he goes on to web the Munin down that was even under grapple slightly outrunning the guns on the Macarial because they were sitting so close, and with the Jaguar webs on it, pulling a bit of range, the Macarial manages to volley it off grid, and together with the hero Osprey Rose mentioned, they almost turn it around there. Um, so individual piloting, almost pulling it back, but a little too little, a little too late,
Yep.
perhaps.
Now, let's pull up the bands real quick for this next match between Wormhole Hobos and Bubbled Not Tackled. We've got the long webs out again. We've got some
Awesome.
some very smatterings of other ships. Drake Navy,
Yeah.
Harb Navy. Anything immediately
I
stand out to you?
Yes, I
Ashimo.
would like to point out that both teams ban, or the red team here, the Wormhole Hobos banned the Zarmast and then the Armageddon, so they kind of prevent anyone bringing those heavy battleship comps, one we saw before. But now imagine of an Executor in that example, a Rodiva or a Zarmast is sitting behind it. So that just makes them impossible to be punched through. So that's a very understandable ban. And then the blue team here, the bubbled not tackled, they're going for a bit of a spread. They don't want to see long range webs. They don't want to see some application. They don't want to see some mid range guns. The Drake Navy stands out to me as odd in the whole list, but maybe they've been practicing something and maybe they came up against a certain comp they didn't like.
Perhaps they're seeing something that we don't, but we will see if they see correctly at the arena, where both teams are on standby to get their match rolling.
Welcome to the arena for Wormhole Hobos versus Bubbled but Not Tackled. And I want to talk about this blue team because while Red has brought a very normal armor gun setup, this blue team is weird.
Yeah, they have very high resist ships, triple Nurgle, double Tech 3 cruiser. It is a ham drone legion. So they're probably going to be trying to brawl in, catch this Octo, um, Their tackle is fairly tanky, so we'll see if it can survive this very high application, very high damage projection comp.
Been looking at the Proteus, it appears to be blasters as well, so this is a very interesting setup from Blue. I haven't seen something like this in a hot minute, and that Damnation is also hams, so wow.
Armor Rush, Brawl Rush? I don't know. We'll see how it performs. Octo's pulling away hard as those Nurgles chase them.
Octo is doing what I would expect, immediately getting damage on that Guardian, because there's really no screen or E-War to protect him, but it's still going to be a hard nut to crack. I see a big cloud, massive cloud of rep drones just now arriving on the Guardian, so let's see how well they can do here.
Yeah, the Guardian's pulling away, but seems like the Octo's chasing him fairly well. They do have some damage on this Nurgle, probably from the Tech 3 destroyers on the Octo team. Going to create kind of a struggle with the Guardian where you want to run away for your life, but this Nurgle is being shot as well. So either you let him die or you come back in. Seems like he's choosing to turn for this Nurgle, and that may cost the Guardian his life.
That's really risky. Personally, I would be telling, if I was on this grid, I'd be telling that Guardian, let the Nurgle die, you need to live. But we'll see how it works out for him. This Prof Navy is the target of this blue team. He's slowly coming down here. Under Oneros reps too. Both strong rep output from both teams, but the Guardian is already going down.
Guardian trade for a Prof would be good for this Octo, I think, because while they have very high resist chips, they don't necessarily have the highest EHP. So they're really gambling on the Logi being alive to keep them up, make use of those resists. With that gone, who knows? They might be losing these Nurgles pretty quickly. First one already dying.
Those Nurgles all being together on the target, I get why you want to do that. You want to have those Nurgles can spool to some pretty good damage numbers, but Blue needed to screen. Blue needed to keep those high end of the Octo, the Prof Navy, the Astarte, the Exec Navy from being able to go chase down their Logi. You have Nurgles, have them tackle the Astarte and the ENI and keep them away from your Guardian. It's worth the lost damage. They chose to optimize for damage and they lost their Guardian for it.
Yeah, their damage is also pretty close range with hams and blasters, and they caught one thing and killed it, but now when they're going for the second, they didn't have a second caught. They have to now catch it. That's wasting so much time. And during that whole process, they're losing more and more tackle. The second Nurgle dying now.
Yeah, this was just I like to see inventive out like non-standard. This isn't a meta we've seen before comps, but maybe this one spent a little bit too much time in the kitchen.
Yeah, I like the idea with it, but I think with different plan, maybe some different weapons so that you can split up your tackle and still hit one target rather than all being close range weapons. But I love the concept. They're now killing this exec, but they only have
that ENI down. Only having the Astarte and the T3s for damage. This Mauler, that is a gun Mauler, so they have the Mauler damage too. These T3s might be tanky enough to make something happen here, but that Proteus is dropping a little bit too quickly for my liking.
Yeah, all of the remaining Octo ships here are fairly tanky. The exec was probably the least tanky out of them. So as they start clearing more and more damage, they might just be able to flat out tank this armor comp here.
Yeah, I think with the Oneros still being alive, this should be stabilizing for red here, especially as that Proteus is getting lower and lower.
This Astarte is taking a lot of damage in half armor. He's getting rep pretty hard. We'll see if this Prote goes down before he does. He may have better shot.
And the Nurgle's going down too, and if he was fully spooled, that is still a big chunk of damage off the grid, even though it's just a frigate. Yeah. The
nice thing about this Legion and Damnation is they are hams. They can choose push damage type. This Prote is locked into Kindtherm, so it's probably doing the least damage to the start right now. But damage is damage. Getting it off the grid is still important.
I'm surprised at how slow this Nurgle has been dying with no Logi on grid, but he looks like he's going to drop
might have
anyways.
swapped the Tech 3 damage to the Proteus just to finish it off. There it goes. You start seeming to recover. That is probably the door shutting on Bubble Team.
I think this is a great match for us to talk about the importance of screening, because I think that's what decided the match here. Regardless of the weirdness of Blue's comp, I don't think it was so weird that they didn't have a chance. It was that Red was just free to run into Blue's backline, chase that Guardian, and Blue did nothing. Didn't do anything about it. This is why screening matters.
Yeah, if you can hold just enough damage off the Guardian for its local tank to work, for it to keep itself alive, that's huge. Although they did not have any disruption to keep the damage that's at range from applying. So they may have been able to keep them at range with a different strategy, but they still would have been applying with their long range ammo.
Right, but if you force them into the long range ammo, they're doing less. A Guardian can self-sustain pretty well, especially with the cloud of rep bots they had. If you said each Nurgle grabs a target, and then our main DPS blob grabs a target, and we've locked down 4 DPS ships, your Guardian has a pretty good shot.
Yeah, that's for sure. And especially with the 2 destroyer damages, those aren't that much damage. Like, they apply pretty well to this Nurgles, but if they're shooting a Guardian, it's not going to be quite as much damage as a cruiser in that slot would be. So you do have an advantage there where you can hold down the other damage ships and just let those free, and it probably won't be enough to really pressure that Guardian.
Or at least not pressure him as much. He'd have lived longer even if he died eventually.
Yeah, if they could have traded that Guardian for just a little more damage off the grid.
And we are at time. That Damnation will get to live, but not having done much with his life. As we go back to the desk to talk about that one.
Let's do bands.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Let's hand over to the bands and let's take a look at what's coming up in this next match.
What do we got?
We have From Spark to Flame going up against the Wormhole Hobos. I know yourself a little bit of a Wormhole Hobo, CCP Jotun, so why don't you take us through their bands?
Which they are? Oh,
they're blue. They're the light blue team.
Zarm, Hugin, Armageddon. Okay, just webs again. Just get rid of all the webs. And get rid of the Geddon. I actually love Geddon bans for real. Anytime anybody wastes a ban on a Balgorn, I kind of tilt a little bit. But Armageddon bans are great because the Geddon has long newts and it can just reach out and feel you from across the arena and then just do one of these. And you don't want that. Okay, you don't want that. The Balgorn can't do it as well. The Armageddon can. That's a good ban.
Mm-hmm. On the other side, Misty, what can you tell me about the From Spark to Flame bands?
I mean, we're seeing some of the rush removed with the Nighthawk and the Claymore, so that makes sense. The Sleipnir is still open, however, and, you know, they banned the Maulers, you still have the Celestis and the Carries, but they do cost more in points. The one that really stands out to me is the Golem. We have seen a Golem earlier today. I believe there were a pair of Golems, actually, in a, not quite a Tinker, but Tinker-esque, reminiscent of a Tinker. It ate shit and died. But
pseudo tinker, if you will.
There's we just got a disconnect, and so we're going to be a second. But did we ever figure out what that was? By the way, was that like
yeah, it was just missiles.
Yeah, I believe the technical term for it, Jotun, would be bad.
Yeah, you can't tinker. So it was just golems for the sake of golems.
Yeah, it was a weird one. Yeah, I agree with you. The golem ban is very strange.
I mean, we'll see. It does have a bonus target painter itself, but I'm not necessarily sure that's enough to swing it as like one of the more important ships. The Balgorn's still open, for example. You've got the Vindicator open. You've got APOC open, NavPOC open. There's so many different battleships open that a Golem ban is odd to me. Barghest is open too.
Barghest is open. Have we seen any Barg so far?
No.
And I mean, if
Weird.
they're worried about kind of like the bonus target painter, which is the main reason why you pick the golem over anything in particular, why is the hyena not banned? Is there something
Or
that
the
they've
vigil,
seen in
yeah.
scrims? Yeah, is there something they've seen in scrims that we just aren't aware of? Who knows? Obviously, we're just going to be taking a couple of minutes here, just whilst we deal with some technical difficulties on a team. They'll obviously be punished as is appropriate for delaying it, but that gives us just a little bit more time to talk about that previous match. And Misty, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about why this Sentinel was so effective there against those Deacons.
So, small newt equals cycle fast. Sentinel, bonus to small newt, means suck lot. Also, bonus to range. So, Sentinel 20 kilometers from Deacon, cycle newt, wait, cycle second newt, wait, cycle third newt, capped out. Very good. No rep.
Very insightful.
Yeah. It's also worth noting that the small newts cycle faster than the small cap injectors, which mean that it's basically impossible to keep yourself up, especially when you're going with Deacons. They only have one mid slot after you fit an afterburner, so there's just no real way to get things working there. It's almost always going to be dry after a couple of seconds, which is why it's so critical to triangulate.
Also takes about, I think, like 180 gigadjoules, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. So you cycle 2 of those if you have 400 cap boosters in your cap booster, like 400 charges, sorry, in your cap booster, then 2 cycles of a newt is basically capping you out. Plus, you're activating modules, so you cap yourself out as well faster. It's you effectively do get deleted from the game, which is why I think the Sentinel is often banned in tournament formats. And I think it's why we saw, even though it was being shot by a Nurgle in one of the previous matches, and the amount of damage that a Nurgle can do, it just neutered the Nurgle out so that it couldn't shoot, and then it walked away. It is fairly tricky to kill. Fairly tricky to kill.
Well, I don't think it warped away.
Walked away, waddled.
Walked. You mean walked away?
Waddled away, like your beloved ducks.
It walked away.
It walked away.
That was a little rude. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry, Misty.
It's fine. I will have my revenge when the ham comes back.
It is planning revenge right now. Oh my god, Zealous is slamming me in chat. Look at that milk, man. Give me a break. This guy. I'm surrounded by Brits. How did this happen to me? How did I get surrounded by the British? Everywhere I go.
You're the one who moved to Europe.
I've got Brits everywhere. I assumed to be surrounded by lovely Icelanders. Very kind, very demure, very chill. No, Brits everywhere. I got fucking overload on.
All right. Jotun, we have things are ready on the grid. So we're gonna hand it over to the arena.
Alrighty then, look at this arena Corvus. You got Fant and Corvus here, and we have a Fant and Corvus style setups on each side here. What do you love about what's on the field, Corvus?
I'm happy to see the Orthrus out for once. Could be interesting. Bonus the scram range, of course. Quite fast, rapid lights is the usual, but we'll see what happens here. Well, Hobos bringing an Alligator, Drake Navy, Orthrus Osprey, Navy Osprey, Navy Caracal, again 2 of my favorites, and a Jackdaw.
Now, something entirely unsurprising is happening. It looks to me like Wormhole Hobos are burning sideways directly for the From Spark to Flame Lone Guardian. They are burning for that. The From Spark to Flame blaster ships all started at 0, aside from their Guardian, obviously, and it now looks like they've got it painted, webbed. Oh, they've lost it. No, they are holding a web on it, and it's about to vanish. It's losing armor so fast on that Guardian with just seconds into the game here.
Absolutely getting smashed right now. But, however, I will counter that a lot of these kitey ships are now webbed by the Hyena, possibly, of Lugbirds, which is not a good thing to be in a kitey ship and a kitey comp at all.
I don't know how they lost the web on the Guardian, to be honest, but look at that. It made it.
Yeah, it'd probably be a drive-by web. You don't really want to stick at close range to pretty much anything here.
What, to the Guardian? Were they worried that the Guardian was going to web it back or something like that? I guess we'll find out.
I think Sparks of Flame just literally turned down, just burn at the Guardian at this point.
But it looks to me like Wormhole Hobos squandered their chance. I might say that.
They did, and Hobos has lost to Calgary Navy, so a little bit of DPS has been lost on that team. Of course, with these Kaiti comps, you're going to need a bit of alpha to be able to burst through what you want to shoot at. It looks like the Hyena now is dying. They've recognized the threat of that now, so it's getting painted, getting webbed. It is receiving armor reps, but
it's bouncing. It's bouncing.
I don't
That
think it's going to
jackdaw
suffer
is
here.
probably slapping it into half armor, and then it just comes straight back again.
Oh, yeah.
Again, I just want to say how impressed I am with Death Almirando's Guardian slipping away from them there, only to pull everything back. The Alligator now, possibly the tankiest battle cruiser on that grid at the moment, is now slipping into armor, which isn't going to be good for him. All of his notable EHP in the shield there.
Hobos do have a single Osprey, but it looks like the Alligator's been caught here, so it's not going to last very long, especially as a kiting ship. It's probably mostly speed and DPS, pretty much, and the Alligator goes down, of course. The key here is not to get caught. The Orthrus now, for Hobos, has now been scrammed. That will not last long if this DPS wing from Spark to Flame get on top of it here.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they had a go on the Guardian. It looks like they squandered that chance. They had a go on the Hyena. They squandered that chance as well. And from Spark to Flame don't seem to be encountering any difficulties whatsoever, both in tanking and keeping up with their targets to keep them locked down.
Yep, the Astarte, of course, being a very, very good ship in this meta at the moment. First time I think we've seen in this tournament a blaster Astarte. The ones I've seen, the games I've seen anyway, have been mostly railgun ones, which of course it does do very well at as well. But that blaster Astarte puts down a hell of a lot of DPS once it gets on 0.
I mean, it's got a much larger signature than, the Deimoses that they have not really had a go on. And that's kind of showing with the fact that the Astarte is taking big chunks of damage here. But reps are split between that Nurgle and the Astarte. And the Astarte is still dipping, weirdly. I wouldn't have expected that to be having the trouble here, especially now that there's only, half of Wormhole Hobo's fleet remaining.
Well, Wormhole Hobos are now in the process of losing a Drake Navy and an Orthrus here. Both are tackled and webbed and scrammed. The Osprey is doing its best to try and put reps on the Drake, but I don't think it's going to hold here. The From Spark to Flame team seem very much in control of this game here.
Yeah, they've pulled that Astarte back. Maybe this is fit without a plate or something and it's all resist. So it doesn't have all of the hit points, but it certainly has the ability to absorb a lot of damage once it is receiving reps. I mean, this is a nice advantage of having a Guardian on the field here that can fit a lot of different reps in the high slots, unlike the Trig Logi. So it's able to rep multiple people at a time. You can see it doing 4 people all at the same time at the moment, keeping them all alive versus the dwindling DPS from Wormhole Hobos.
From personal experience, a kiting comp trying to take on a Guardian with 2/2 resists can be quite a pain in the ass when it comes to trying to break that tank. Those T2 resists and the ability to rep itself as well do give it quite a make it a difficult target to engage. That's why at the beginning you saw a lot of burst damage. But once the rest of the team started burning towards that Guardian, the kite ships had no choice but to burn away and attempt to switch targets here.
I think this is one of those situations where you'd like to be interested to rewind and play an alternate universe where they did eat the Guardian the way that they looked like they were going to see how it would have turned out.
Oh yeah, definitely. The Guardian, of course, with the armor reps, the reps apply at the end of the cycle, so getting as much burst damage onto the Guardian as quickly as possible is probably the only way you're going to kill it. Once it starts repping, it gets very difficult. Very, very difficult.
Say goodbye to the Logi Osprey. It is now just a jackdaw that doesn't appear to be really moving at any notable speed left.
It's been scrammed and webbed by the Magus here. It looks like Magus, of course, also very, very fast if you fit it in a certain way. There are no jump field generators allowed in the tournament, so we don't have booshing around the arena in this tournament. However, it still maintains quite a fast, can be used as a sort of supplementary tackle ship if needed. And the jackdaw goes down. Let's head back to the studio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. So, CCP Jotun there. We saw your favorite combined with your beloved. Has that match changed your opinion on the hyena at all?
Brothers and sisters, I have seen the light. I will admit where I was wrong. I will admit I denied its power. I denied its majesty. But I'm a believer. I've seen the light. The hyena saved a guardian in the year of our Lord 2026. Heaven have above. The hyena came down. It glittered its little webs all over the field and said, "No, you shall not harm my guardian friend." And it did the job. Wow. That's a spiritual moment for me. I'm moved. Hallelujah. Praise the hyena Jesus. My God. Whew.
Yeah, it really seems that your previous opinion aged like fine ham. Misty.
You fucking bastard. I mean, true, but oh my God.
Anyway, Misty, I thank you for letting me steal that wonderful joke. And also, what you thought that the Guardian did a fantastic job there. Can you kind of explain what they did that was so successful in order to take that match?
Well, first of all, it didn't die when it was getting shot, which is fantastic. That's kind of outside
Good
of
start.
its sphere of influence, right?
Yeah.
The Ham team had to mess up and let the Guardian go. But once it was free, oh boy, did it capitalize. I looked away. I heard in my Phantomite screaming about how the Guardian was dying, pumped full of damage. I looked back. The Guardian was going 2.8 kilometers a second towards the edge of the arena, and I was confused. However, after it got free, it coordinated well with its team. I saw one of the Nurgles burn in and help peel off the Orthrus that was burning after it, chasing it down. Once that was done, it was able to curl back around, get reps on that hyena as it began to drop towards, 1/3 armor, kept burning past the hyena once it was stabilized, and got reps on that Astarte, and made sure that everybody on his team stayed alive, which I think was a fantastic job. It really does show how important both proper screen and also good logic piloting is combined into with good communication, because the Ham team did look like it was in a position to win. It looked like it should have won. It's just the fact that they let the Guardian go, which may have been a miscommunication. It's the fact they left the Alligator behind, which meant that they lacked that damage. They strung themselves out, and they eventually paid the price for it.
Yeah, just to elaborate on your point a little bit too, you're absolutely right, because once it becomes clear they're not going to get the Guardian, you need to make the call to like bail, right? Because once you get strung out like that, you're done. Okay, they had all their damage sitting on top of one target, leaving the Alligator behind, and everything else is kind of just in this line of webbed targets all the way out towards the Guardian. You need to be like, okay, it's getting away from us. We have to regroup, come back over here. Then that needs to happen fast. It did not happen fast enough this time.
Absolutely. I'm not quite
Real
sure
quick
if we're ready.
interjection before we go any further. I did set my sandwich down on the couch next to me, and the cat came up and sniffed it and went, "Bleh," and then walked off. So I think it's probably not a good sign.
Always a good sign when the animal doesn't want to eat what you're eating.
Yeah, not good. Anyway, what are you going to say, Jen?
Yeah, I'm just hearing that we are ready.
Welcome back. What a match. We've got the Dominics attempting to survive and jumping around. Very interesting drone choices from both the teams there. We heard Wingnut raging about the EC bots, but there are some other drone choices in there as well. Deebs, how did the drones shape this match?
So one thing about drones is you can get some pretty good DPS out of them, but they have travel time. They're kind of like missiles, except not, because the travel time happens once and then they stay on and then they've got their DPS. But that means that if you're taking out things that are spaced far apart, you've got all that travel time as the drones go across the map. So you saw this happen twice. They tackled the Osprey, got the drones on it, great, it died. But that took them 10, 15, 20 seconds to get those drones across to start applying that damage. And then once they do that, now the drones have to go 50, 60, 70 kilometers back across the grid in order to get onto the next target. And that takes a lot of time, especially with heavy drones. We saw some Fed Navy Ogres out there. Ogres, very slow. I believe the slowest heavy drone in the tournament. So it just takes a long time for them to get over there and do that damage. And when you add that up, going over a couple of different targets, that comes a minute, 2 minutes, and out of a 7-minute match before overtime, that's a long time.
Yeah, meanwhile, in those 2 minutes, it's not like the other team can't shoot you, right? Like, they've still got Sleipnirs on grid. We've got not very long before the next match. I can see actually both teams have been teleported in already, so we're going to sort of head on to the bands for Kick Z0OT versus Wormhole Hobos. I saw some requests in chat to know who these teams are, by the way. Kick Z0OT, they're kind of a tournament super team headed by Toastbrought. They've got members from Rage Quit, other prominent teams. Wormhole Hobos, they've got Evasive, BSOD members on them as well. So again, we've got, if you're looking on a computer, you can sort of mouse over and see the team history. But we've got some bands. GM Ren, give us a look at these bands.
I see a lot of the very standard stuff. The long-range webs come out again, the Armageddon gets some hate, the Tracking Disruptors get some hate, the Tholus and Zarmast get their standard hate, and then we get Alachisis. What does Alachisis bring that you do not want to see? And it could be damps. It could be that they suspect a long-range cram ? I have no idea what you could bring where Alachisis is the thing that breaks your neck without it also being a Keres or an Arazu or...
Yeah, both of these teams, they've got a lot of tournament experience between them. Possibly some overcooking happened, but maybe this is something that's been showing up in top-level scrims, and we'll see it unveiled on a future weekend. Either way, we've got both teams on grid now, so we'll send it to the arena where the casters will break this down.
Welcome back to the arena. I am Kevin Crumman here with Wingnut Cross, as we are looking currently at two very heavy metal compositions on Wormhole Hobo's side. We are looking at Leshak Oniros Legion in very heavy metal composition. Looking at that Legion, there is no guns on it. That's going to be a full Newt Legion, and along with the Newts on the Leshak, there's a lot of Newt power if they can get it on top of this enemy fleet.
And they've picked the right E-War for their job because they're versing two Apocalypses. We are going through two Armageddons at once. Or Apocalypses, not Armageddons, but whatever. It's a different thing. But yeah, a lot of Amarian lasers, they love their capacitor, and the Leshak and Legion are going to try and remove that.
Well, the few times you really wish you brought an area is to bring more capsticks, because they're going to be chewing on in cap boosters this entire match, as the Legion and Leshak are going to just sit on their capacitor or make sure they can get as few gunshots off as possible, as the Apocalypse Navy and Apocalypse are quickly caught by those front-running frigates.
Yep, and they're going to just go on in with the Leshak, and yeah, with all that nuding power, they can basically turn one Apocalypse off for most of this match. And we'll have to see what they can do from there. Hopefully Leshak can get on top and just kill them, but the opposing team's going to want that Leshak anywhere but near them. But what can they really do to stop it, to be fair? Like, they have nothing besides maybe a cruel with a bit of webbing to try and stop that.
Yep, and it doesn't look like it succeeded, as the Leshak rolls right up on top of that Apocalypse Navy, can load up its short-range ammunition, and just start going to town on it.
Yeah, I think this match was immediately lost on the comps. Like, you brought two laser Amarian battleships, and there is a Leshak sitting on your face. They're not trying to go through the Legion, but they're nearest repping it. I do not see what they can do. I've been proven wrong before, but I don't see what they can do.
It looks like the Celestis stamps are currently on the Leshak, which is quite a confusing choice. They might want to be swapping that to the Oniros soon to try to break the lock to the Legion, force the Oniros to get in close, and they can apply more DPS onto it, as DPS seems to be going on it now.
Yeah, damping the Leshak is doing absolutely nothing. Also, Leshak, buddy, please control space. Yeah, they should be trying it on the Oniros and try and either rip through the Legion or maybe just start pulverizing through the Leshak.
It looks like they're looks like they're trying to break the Leshak here. Her dams are still on it though. Oh, if dams were swapped to the Oneros here, they'd at least have a chance at breaking the locks. Leshak taking lots of damage here, getting chunked out of it. The reps are landing. It'll have the cap it needs to be able to run a local rep as well if it needs it. There's no enemy dams against it other than the crewer, and the crewer doesn't mean much here.
Also, I also just kind of realized as well, the Legion is not just a Newt Legion, I believe it's also a Link Legion.
What?
According to the subsystem, please. I'm not good with T3C subsystems. It's a black spot of my knowledge, but I believe it is also a Link spot.
Nor am I. But it looks like the Leshak is smart bombing off the drones, trying to clear some of the DPS off of it, so that it can sit right on top of this Apocalypse Navy and keep spooling up.
That Leshak is actually getting hurt pretty bad. Where's the Oneros? Hold on, wait. Why is the Oneros that far? Is that... Okay, never mind. He's closer than I thought, but still, he's pretty far away.
Damps that are switching onto the Draugr confusing.
Oh, the crew is going in. The crew is going in to try and get onto top of the Oneros and maybe start nuding it out with this Nosferatus.
Yep, and that is for the Oneros, the crew's nudes is significant.
Wait, Leshak's not looking healthy. Hold on a second. I thought this was going to be entirely on their side, but no, this is starting to look real bad for the Leshak. They're going to get some reps in ASAP.
Yep, those damps finally... Nope, damps are still on the Draugr. The Leshak is bleeding whole, though, and they might be able to just straight up push through it still.
Yeah, I've seen the reps coming in from the Oneros, but that Leshak is starting to bleed. I wonder if these guys are overheating their lasers just for the absolute max. The Leshak is still crawling through hull. This is not looking good.
Very close. There he goes!
Oh my god!
Without that Leshak, there is no DPS against this other than a Draugr, a Vengeance, and an Enyo.
I thought they had the newts. I thought they had the comp. I thought they had the position, but Amarian Battleship said, hell no!
Both the Apocalypse and the Apocalypse Navy do get a bonus to the activation cost of the lasers, which helps them a little bit, but it was clearly enough as they were able to keep the guns running long enough. They were able to push through that Leshak, even through the Oneros reps.
It's all falling apart.
With no dudes to push on that cap and try to turn off the guns, there's nothing that can hold back these two battleships from ripping through everything left on grid.
Man, I was so excited. Leshak was kicking ass, and Zoot's like, no, we're taking this one. This is ours.
Just hit the cap button and don't get capped out. The game is easy. Just kill the Leshak. Man, if this was anything like a Zarma as Logi, that he 100% lives, but the Oneros just could not hold it together. I'm not sure if the visual was bugged or something, but the Oneros just didn't get catching damps, but it still wasn't able to hold.
Yeah, he was definitely repping as hard as he could, but I'm only bet they were firing like conflag on heat and everything.
Oh yeah, conflag, he just ripping into that Leshak. It was not enough to survive. As the Draugr goes down, anything that the crewer wants to catch, it'll kill. Well, it looks like the crewer died at some point. I must not have been paying attention.
Yeah, the crew I think got killed by the Draugr just after the Leshak went down. So they didn't come home empty-handed. They did get a scalp for themselves.
Not a fully clean sweep, but pretty close to it as the Enyo follows suit. Vengeance, Maulus. There's no DPS left on this grid to try to push through anything here.
Yeah, this is brutal indeed. Well done to Kick Z0OT on that one. I was not ready for that match. I was not ready for that result. I was so confident they were screwed. They can probably make sound bites out of me for the rest of the year and enjoy it. I honestly thought they were done.
That Leshak just wasn't enough. That I keep harping on about this because I have no idea how they were able to push through that Leshak. I want to see a fit or something. Maybe they were greeting that Leshak fit and it had less resist mods than it needed or something like that. That Leshak shouldn't have died there.
That's what I thought. I was honestly thinking, hey, he can't die. He's got this. But apparently, I do not know my numbers, but they sure do.
The numbers do not lie, and they have spelled disaster for the Wormhole Hobos as everything's just spreading out, trying to live for as long as possible. It looks like the Vengeance might be gunning for the Edge of Glory here, but it will not make it before the end of the match. And with that, we will throw it back to the desk.
Welcome back to the desk. I think this was a really picture-perfect match for the gun comp here. You know, artfully named Cinco Daddy, which I'm sure everyone really enjoys. We saw it coming up against a Blaster Rush comp, and Corvus, you know, I have massive damage on paper. Massive damage on paper. Thousands of damage on paper. But I have short, stubby arms. What are the benefits of projection in a tournament setting?
I will tell you right now, I am having PTSD style flashbacks to my first match in this tournament, where we made the same mistake. A lot of brawling ships, short range, high DPS, not able to catch the gun spam comps at all and just getting picked off at range. Similar comp to what we saw in that first match as well, with Clown College, with the backup paints. Increasing that signature radius, making sure those medium guns apply fully, and yeah, I mean, best way to not lose a match is not get shot at. I'm afraid, ladies and gents, that's just how the numbers work in these things. And so yeah, expertly played by the gun comp, and just staying out of the way, minding their own business, keeping those short, stubby arms. Holding that younger brother at arm's length while he wildly swings his fists in an attempt to hit you. But yeah, perfectly played by that team.
And Rose, we did see an interesting ship, one that is very dear to my heart in a tournament setting. Do love this ship. The Vigil. At the time of, you know, the day beginning, it had only been fielded 3 times. It had won 2 of its matches for a nice 66.7% win rate. How did it do? What does it do? How did it help?
So one of the bonuses of the Vigil and some of the Minmatar line ships, they have target painting bonuses. Now, what target painting does is it basically blows up the size of the sig radius from anywhere from 25%, 30% higher if you're getting into the super fancy officer, but that's its own. Now, you have to keep in mind, this is what helps your friends. It doesn't really hurt your enemies, versus other types of E-War are mainly towards hurting your enemies instead of helping your friends. The other part of this, there is no counter to target painting, whereas some of the other ones, such as remote sensor damps, you can counter potentially with things like sensor boosters, remote CBOs, etc. However, being able to blow things up and make things bigger, better application for your smaller friends. It's going to make a difference in a small gang setting where you can basically take something and make it the size of a dread by blowing up the size of, say, for example, the Iberian. Dreads are very easy to hit when you've got, or dread-sized battle cruisers or battleships are very easy to hit. Versus potentially slippery without it.
Perfect. So we have a bit of time to kill, unless anyone has any other things that they want to throw in about the previous match. I wanted to get your opinions on must-watch matches of the day. Any matches that perhaps you've been sitting around, you've been chilling in the background, waiting for your time to shine on stream, and you've been like, oh, this was a really good match. Is there anything that people should go back and see? I'm going to give you guys, 20 seconds to think about it, because I am dropping this on you guys out of the blue. But
20 seconds?
You got 20 seconds. This is
I have 2 right off the bat.
Okay,
So if you are watching the VOD later, definitely look out for Space Art versus Questionable Choices. That match went into overtime. Really, really good match. Vindicator on grid. You see ships almost get Vindicator webbed. And surprise, Structure Tank. Hello. Oh my god. And then the next match would be bubbled but not tackled, and from Spark to Flame. Really good matches, both going into overtime. That tie-dye, that reverse tie-dye is something. It is really something.
And
So yeah.
Has the
Let me ask-
benefit of also being back to back in the VODs as well for those of
It
you
is
going
back
back
to
to
back.
see
Yeah,
it.
they are back to back as well. Yeah.
Rose, please go
Does
ahead.
it have to be on this stream? Because I saw one on the other
No.
one.
It can be on
I'm
either
not
stream.
gonna spoil it because if I do, you guys will come at me, and I'm not gonna do that. But the deteriorated versus 3 a.m. Epiphany match, if you have not seen that match, I will tell you, I did Gamba on that, and I lost a lot of points, and it will shock you. I was
Okay.
here for it, and it was very unexpected. I'm very happy that I got to witness that.
For those of you who maybe have just joined the stream or found the stream through the Twitch browser somehow, we do have 2 streams running, as was mentioned. There is a stream A on the CCP channel, and then this stream on the EVE Tournaments channel. For both of the VODs, if you do want to go back and watch any of those 3 matches mentioned, you'll be happy to know that they all happened around the same time, roughly. So if you just jump to the middle of the VOD, you'll probably find the Space Art versus Questionable Choices match, and then the Deteriorated match is also about halfway through the Stream A VOD. So take a wild click and you'll probably land in the right place. We do have the bands ready for our final match of the day. Highly Regarded versus Wormhole Hobos. And I had to tab across to see if they were up. My bad. Okay, Rose, can you walk me through Highly Regarded's bands? I think you're going to be seeing bands here that you like based on your previous assessments.
You know, I am seeing things that I'm liking. Now, I am liking that Steeple ban. Given that we saw it harassing the backline earlier, I am really liking that. Now, I have questions about the Helios ban. Were they struggling to find a ban, maybe? I have questions, but maybe we'll get answers when we see the match happen. But I do see again the Arbitrator, the Curse, the Pilgrim. So many uses for them. The weapon disruption, the high slots, the web, like that, all around fantastic ship, but they don't want to be seen, and I don't blame them. Again, that does still leave the bait Ashimu. I am preferable to the Ashimu having the hot dog skin. That is yeah, I'm there. We haven't seen one yet. I would like to put money on the fact we will see a hot dog Ashimu during this AG7, but
well, this is Thunderdome, so the teams do have access to all of the Skinner assets, I believe. I don't know. I think Skinner works on Thunderdome, and it's free, so really we should be seeing some really good skins coming out of these teams. But hey, maybe we'll put a prize in place. We won't. I have no control over this. For the best skin on stream at some point. Corvus, if you could take a little look at the Wormhole Hobos bans, and also well done on swaying these teams, obviously. Ignore the fact the bans were done before we got to the sweeple part. Naturally, this was us.
If any of my previous games in this tournament has taught anybody nothing, it's not to listen to me at all. Do not listen to anything I say. I do not know what I'm talking about. Wormhole Hobos, again, similar bans to the last game. Hugin, Rapier, Loki, long range webs. We've seen it before. Zarm. Now, interesting one. They've gone for the Scimitar instead of the Rodiva. So, are they expecting a shield comp of some description? And if so, will they be gun spamming or will they be brawling on this one? There should be an interesting match, and we're going to find out very shortly, I believe.
Yep. Okay. 2 words. 2 words only. This is the rule. Corvus, prediction.
I'm going to go with Wormhole Hobos purely on the fact that
this is more than 2 words. This is more than 2
really
words. Rose,
Wormhole Hobos.
2 words.
Wormhole
Rose,
Hobos.
2 words.
There you go.
I will take the opposite. I will take Highly Regarded.
Perfect. All right. I'm also going to be going with neither of those teams because then I can't lose. This is great. All right.
That's
We're going
more
to
than two
throw it
votes.
to the final match of the day. Chad Flame and Sven, take it away.
Welcome to the arena for the last time of this stream. And we have all the TDs banned, so that means we have all the medium guns and some light guns being brought, and we have the highly regarded and the hobos.
I think it'll be interesting to see how Rediva plays versus how Oneros plays. You have less points and less output, but given enough time, the Rediva can start to match an Oneros. So we'll see which performs better here.
It's going to be interesting because you have the slightly less tanky Rodiva, and it can only spool on one target. But the other team, though, you sacrifice some of your cruiser DPS for a Confessor and a Hecate. With that said, the match has started, and let's see what the first primaries are.
Instantly going for the Logi trade. The Vigil Rediva team also has a Vigil, which they're trying to kill. They do. That's pretty huge for keeping their Oneros alive.
Yeah, the Oneros is dying faster than this Oneros, though. It seems like that the T2 logistics should not be dying quicker, but they did end up snapping that Vigil, so a little bit of time spent on that. But a logistics trade here with a Vigil being down and an Oneros being so many points really, really favors the blue team.
Something crucial here also is red team is just burning straight at the Rediva, whereas blue team started chasing the Oneros and then turned around to follow their own Rediva, maybe to protect it, like to screen for it, or maybe, I don't know, just to shoot this exec that's right in near the Rediva. But in doing that, they've left the Oneros alone.
Yeah, it seems like they swapped off none of the exec, thinking maybe that they've burned too far away from that Oneros, pushed it off, and now we can swap and get rid of some of this damage. But now the Oneros is burned back in, repping that exec back up, and they don't actually have the damage to kill it feels like. And the Omen is actually going down into about half armor.
Yeah, the execs are really, really fast. Has a plate mass bonus, can go really, really fast when it's hot. So you need to tackle it. Otherwise, it can just run away from your guns and recover, just like this. Losing an Omen, not a single ship yet lost on the blue team.
Yeah, now that ENI burning back in to do more damage now, he's back up, full HP. Onero's big prime right now, but it feels it's like a little bit too late. Like you've lost more damage ships than they have. You've lost your application. You've lost your logistics, and now you're losing a Zealot, which is one of the most important ships you have.
Yeah, they're probably gonna get this Oneros here, but as they lose the Oneros, as this Zealot enters low armor, blue still has a pretty significant DPS advantage.
Yeah, it's a command ship for a command ship, a Navy battlecruiser, Prof Navy's mirroring each other. Now Hecate's going down. Yeah, they got that down, but it seems like there's still way more DPS. That exec's really low. They could maybe kill that really quickly and actually kind of gain tempo back into this match.
If they can kill this exec quickly and then maybe kill this a start, kill something else, they do have a very tanky top line in the Proc Navy and Abso. As I say that, the Abso's dying at a similar pace to the exec Navy.
Yeah, it's interesting. You also have that Deimos, which is probably a lot better than a Mauler, but yeah, you have a Mauler and a Confessor, so it might even out here. It's 4 ships to 3, and that, 3 isn't looking like it's going to be 3 but very much longer.
Numbers don't lie. Trading this Confessor, it seems like, for this Prophecy Navy. Confessor dying very quickly.
That Confessor dying quickly. They're going to trade that ENI and that Confessor, it looks like, for this Prophecy Navy. And it's going to be 3 ships now to 2. And a Deimos versus a Mauler and a Prof Navy, and then 2 command ships. Let's see how this plays out. I don't think it's over quite yet, but there's definitely an advantage still for this blue team.
Yeah, it just shows the strength of the tempo. If you're a little bit ahead in this mirror of these Cinco Dads, as we've been threatened into saying, just a little bit ahead, and you can turn that just small advantage into victory.
It seems like there's a little bit of split damage there for a second, but they've regrouped, gotten on this Deimos. It's in half armor. The Astarte is pushing into half armor. It could be a trade, but I think the Deimos is going to go down first. Hobos looking to take a very big lead on DPS ships if this Deimos goes down first.
Mauler's not that much damage, but in a race between the Abso versus a Prof Navy and a Mauler, I'm going with the 2 versus 1.
Yeah, the 2 versus 1 probably has the advantage. There is definitely a very fair amount of tank on an Absolution, but there is also a lot of tank on a Prof Navy, and the Mauler isn't necessarily that squishy in itself.
Yeah, losing that ship first in the 3v1, Astarte probably going to die here unless it can pull some hard range. It is getting onto a Boosh, but probably not going to be able to make that unless it decides, you can't kill me, I'll just jump out first.
Yeah, it looks like this Astarte is going to go down, but the Absolution will follow directly after. Outside of that, initial Logi trade, I think the exec burning back really made the difference, and it seemed like burning in and then burning out when you take damage was done really well by the Hobos team, and it seemed like regrouping was done more by the highly regarded team. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think they had to commit. I think they had to, rather than chase the arrows and then pull back to your own logic, you just have to commit. Go full in, just like blue team did. Chase down the logi. Don't care about anything else. Go for the logi first. Get that tempo. And that is the match. Astarte living, getting that boosh off, very clutch.
Welcome back to the desk. That was our final match of the day, so it won't take too long to wrap things up. We'll see. Fairly interesting match. Rose, I think you identified that the Rodiva Logi died very, very quickly in that.
Yes, so from my perspective, what I was seeing when I was zooming in through everything, I saw the Vigi and the Rodiva both go down very quickly. They did not want that spool. They did not want that target painter helping that other team. They really wanted to make sure that they could not utilize some of the assets that they brought with them. If they would have lived longer, maybe we would have seen a different match. Unfortunately, though, no cigar.
And Corvus, just sticking on this T3 Desi kind of pitch here. Rail Hecate, Beam Confessor, thoughts?
The Hecate had a paint on it as well, which was quite interesting. So doing obviously unbonused, but doing a good job at increasing the signature. What it seems to me is, unless you have the Vigil, smaller ships like the Vigil have a very bad time when it comes to armor reps. For those of you who may not know or are new to logistics, remote repair systems for armor work very much like the local reps. The actual rep comes from at the bottom of the cycle, just as it starts a new cycle. Makes it very difficult to catch, especially smaller ships that might be not as tanky or not have enough buffer to be able to sustain more than a few hits. Another thing as well as observed is the Rodiva went down very quickly, and I think that is mainly down to the resistance profile and the damage profile of both comps. Galante ships doing a lot of thermal and kinetic damage in equal measures, and the Triglavian ships, particularly the Rodiva, having a very, very big kinetic hull in terms of their resistances. That's probably why you saw them go down, because once that thing gets primaried, it gets primaried. I did like the very good piloting from Avel in the Exec Navy, as our commentary team did mention. The Exec Navy does get that plate bonus. Now it is important to remember that plate bonus does give it less, does allow it to have more speed. Does allow it to keep its speed, despite the size of the plate on it, but it does ruin its actual maneuverability and inertia and its ability to turn. Armor comps, relatively speaking, are very low sig radius as well, so the ability to burn at high speed away from the damage is very important when it comes to getting focused on DPS.
Probably another reason why they decided to snap that Vigil at the very start then. Thank you very much, Corvus and Rose. I'm just going to quickly run through a number of other names as well who were with us during the stream today to deliver Anger Games 7 Day 2 to you wonderful people in the Twitch chat. Virian Stoneshard, Tian Zareen, myself, Brett Thomas, Svein Blot. You have Phantomite, Jintan, Bazza, who did just eat shit right now, but you know, don't let's ignore that for the time being. We've got Rain, just scrolling through Chad Flame as well with the amazing commentary at the very end here. Plus our people in the background. We've got our Delta Bacon, we've got Galasek, we've got, well, that's actually all I can see in this is chat, and also obviously Sothrazil, Dirk, and all those other people. But they're all on stream here, so fuck them. Whatever, it's fine. Thank you very much for watching. We will be back next weekend for games, or days, 3 and 4 of Anger Games 7. Be sure to check it out, and go over to Stream A for the final match over there as well. Catch you next time.
Scrammed! Help!
Where are you?
Killer rats! Killer rats! Killer rats! Killer rats!
What are you doing?
They suddenly went angry, dude. They weren't angry before. Kill them!
Which one's Grammy?
This one, the claw. Kill the claw. Kill the claw. I'm gonna get owned by rats. Not like this.
No.
Kill the rats. Do it! Kill the claw.
Relax.
Claw.
Relax.
I'm gonna die, dude. I was yellow to these.
It's dead.
Alright. Me, dude. They were white a second ago, and then they just got all angry, dude. What the bullshit.
Rainbow includes 4, mate.
I've got a fucking Lader, I've got a Galente, and I've got an MR, and I've got an extra slot.
Did you seriously wanted to know if you need a prop mod?
I have fucking 6 mids!
We're gonna
Exactly,
warp through the planet. Are you ready?
Yeah.
See somebody's house on the way. What do you think it would feel like if a ship warped through your house?
I might have some weird effect. Like imagine, maybe they
Just
get
the
like
sneezing.
like they get explosive diarrhea or something like that.
I like the sneezing more. Alright?
If we
Sneeze out of your ass, like.
Oh, no. Guys, what the?
Hey,
Whoosh.
you started